Welcome back to the Cyber Talent Matrix. And today isn't just any episode, it's our Thanksgiving Day special. So whether you're tuning in from your kitchen, your car, the airport, or the sock, we're grateful you're spending a few minutes with us, even if that means taking a short personal escape from family, friends, or even football. I'm joined as always by my co-hosts, Dr. Sasha Vanterpool and Will Denman. And before we get into the meat of today's conversation, and yes, pun absolutely intended, I've got to ask, what does Thanksgiving usually look like for the two of you? Do you guys have a big gathering, quiet day at home? Is it controlled chaos, or what dish do you both look forward to the most? Sasha, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. For me, it usually alternates between going to my family's house in Orlando, which can definitely be a little bit of chaos and stress. And we have a good amount of us, I would say about 15, maybe like 18, like just under 20 people that all gather around. And um, then the alternate option is when we can't escape and just stay at home. Um, just
Careful, they might
my
be
husband
listening,
and I.
you know.
Yeah, right. I know. But regardless of if it's a small, intimate, or whether it's with the whole family, my thing that I look forward to every year is stovetop stuffing from the box.
Uh-huh.
It's something I grew up on, and even though I have learned to make stuffing from scratch, there's just something about that box that it like, if I don't have it, it doesn't feel like Thanksgiving. So I definitely and, like, this year, I got a box, and I don't care if anybody else eats it, but it's really just for me, and it's just kind of nostalgia thing that it's like, if it's Thanksgiving, that's what I have to have. So that's
All right,
that.
Stofers, you heard it. So if you want to give us a little money for that promo, we're always open to taking some money from people. So that's always great.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Sponsor me, please.
Will, what about you? What do you look forward to the most?
Oh
How's
yeah.
Thanksgiving in the Denman household?
It's like it's usually pretty chill. So we get together, just a few of us. I'm thinking usually like the past few years it's been we go to my grandma's house, all that stuff. But like dad was in the military growing up, so it usually was just the four of us. But now we've been able to kind of, be able to actually hang with our family and stuff since they're relatively close, which is nice. But I'm just like I'm looking forward to getting into some like really good mashed potatoes. That and like my grandma makes this just amazing gravy. So like those things combined, I'm super duper hyped for. What was it? And then the Friday, like after is we do like a pie day or something. So basically all of our leftover pie that all of our family and stuff has, because essentially like everybody like I don't know how you can make like three pies for Thanksgiving and you eat all of them that night. That's just genuinely like I don't know, more power to you, I guess. But usually it's under the assumption that you have some leftovers. So bunch of our family and stuff come over and it's like, okay guys, this is the leftover pie, we're all gonna like share and all that stuff. So that's something we're looking forward to. But I want to get into some mashed potatoes. That's my thing. Like I couldn't care less about stuffing or anything like that. I'm like
Hey, 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 don't knock the stuffing.
I'm
Don't knock
sorry
the
to diss the
stuffing.
stuffing, but like for me, I'm like mashed potatoes. It's all the way there, right? So that's mine. But
I love it. Do you
yeah,
guys so obviously you're into the mashed potatoes. Do you also do sweet potatoes in your house as well?
I mean, kind of. They don't count. No,
Okay.
they
I
don't
will
count.
say,
I'm
I
not a
think
sweet
that's
potato
one
guy.
of the hardest decisions on how are you going to make potatoes. And like to your
Yeah.
point, Jeff, do you have potatoes multiple ways? Like if you do a mash, do you do also a baked potato or a scalloped potato or the sweet potatoes? Like
Yeah.
potatoes are
It's a
great
big
all kinds of
decision.
ways. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and our Thanksgiving, my mother-in-law will do both. She'll do like the brown sugary sweet
Mm,
potatoes
mhm,
and
mhm,
mashed potatoes. But I think we're gonna have a third potato dish added this year because Noble, my son, is really into
mhm.
baked potatoes and he's
Oh
requested
yeah.
baked potato.
Oh,
But that's a
nice.
little easier. You can just wrap it up in some foil and stick it
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
turkey, and it's not a big deal. But
Oh yeah.
there will be potatoes for sure. We're usually pretty intimate setting on our end. Usually it's my family of four, and then mother-in-law, father-in-law, which had 6, and then depending on the brother-in-law situation, whether or not he's coming, there will be 5 additional people, but not this year. So it'll just be 6 of us and a lot of food. And I also look forward to the stuffing, the homemade kind. We, it's one time you do it, and then the pumpkin pie. So
Mm,
pumpkin pie is
Nice. Yeah.
always a favorite.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I love hearing the traditions. Everybody's got to do something different. Are you guys traveling this year, or everyone's staying in place?
I'm staying in
I'll be just
place.
going to Orlando, so
You're
that's
going
just
to
a
Orlando. Okay. When you're
2-hour
staying
drive.
in
Yeah.
place, Will,
Yeah. I don't want to be moving. It's cold
sorry,
out.
you're
Yeah.
just working on your carb. You're working on your carb coma, and yeah, you can hang out there at home and fall asleep.
Oh
I
yeah.
love it.
Oh yeah.
All right, well,
Awesome.
great. I love that. As we kind of move in here, I wanted to take today's episode to really be reflective, honest, and human, because cybersecurity, as you guys know, is an ultimate people profession. So we're spending this episode exploring the human side of the cyber workforce and talking honestly about the so-called cyber talent shortage, and closing with a moment of gratitude, a Thanksgiving style reflection on the people, partners, and progress that made 2025 so meaningful for us here at SkillRex. So, with that, I'd love to kind of dive right into that. And Sasha, if you want to kind of lead us off a bit on this first segment around the human side, and really recognizing and kind of talking a little bit about, you know, what's been important for you this year as we've kind of worked with so many people and organizations. And I'll just kind of hand the mic over to you for a minute.
Yeah, well, thanks, Jeff. No, I think that this year really did kind of illuminate that, how deeply human connected cybersecurity is. It's not just always about protecting the systems. It really is about protecting the people. And I think a lot of the work that we do is surrounded by, focused on the people who are working in these roles and how do we help them grow and advance and stay in the roles that they're working at their organizations. And I think some of the communities that we've had the opportunity to work with, whether it be WESIS, Black Girls Hack, Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu, CRISAC, so many great organizations that are out there that are really creating these spaces that people can grow, belong, train, lead, and just kind of really develop themselves professionally in a very holistic way, through an ecosystem of technical training, personal development, professional development, and just opportunities to enter the field and advance in the field. And it's been really great to get the opportunity to work with those organizations one on one. And I think that it's been just really great to kind of see the different offerings that are available and to see or to hear about the experiences of those people who are involved in those organizations. And really just like the collaboration, the shared purpose, and everybody is kind of doing it a little bit differently in their own ways, but they do have that shared mission and purpose and vision. So I think that this is really just an appropriate time, for us to be talking about this today and to pause and remember that, with every alert, every incident, every improvement we make is really the result of someone showing up with care and dedication. The people who are working these organizations are, tirelessly putting forth that effort. A lot of them do it as a volunteer position, and, really just dedicating their time on top of their full-time job to make these organizations happen. And it's just been really cool for us to be able to help them. So I think that, we've been just kind of constantly reminded this year that it's beyond the technical. And it really is about, just how people are being recognized, how they're being taken care of, and how they're giving opportunities to grow.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the really great things about what we do at SkillRex, and is that we do get to work with so many different types of people or organizations, right? Either
Mhm.
from our clients, but also partners and associations, and it's a good reminder that this is an entire, like this. I mean, meaning cybersecurity is an entire ecosystem full of people and initiatives and efforts that are working together for something greater. And it is really kind of great to see that zoomed out a little bit. um, because when you're actually just kind of doing the grind of your cybersecurity or related work, you're kind of living those silos. But there is an entire work effort behind it, whether it's your HR partner or your training partners or training vendors or professional associations or security product and vendors. Everybody's kind of trying their best to solve the issues at hand. And, despite as many tools and automation things that happen in this space, there are still people behind it and implementing it and, trying to make lives, just generally speaking, better. So I think
Yeah.
that's really important to keep in mind, especially as we kind of come to the last month and a half or so of the year and kind of reflect a bit on this past year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Well,
will.
and yeah, I was about to say, like, empirically, like, it is incredibly important to focus. Obviously, like we have all the sentiment of like, oh, it's really good and stuff like that. But it's like, just as a fact, like, we are, I think we're still in this like era of the great stay right now, where people are facing record burnout and stuff like that, and you're working on like at a SOC or something like that. You're probably facing even greater, right? There's like alert fatigue and things like that. um but it's that collaboration, it's that upskilling and things like that that are actually seen to reduce that burnout, right? It's the even it's the growing as a person, all that kind of stuff, that will motivate somebody to kind of continue on. And then also, I mean, like, just from a bottom line perspective, like, you don't want people to be leaving, especially if they have so much knowledge about your infrastructure and things like that. So at least for me, I'm kind of I guess it's a little bit of a colder bottom line approach that I'm kind of bringing right now, but like, it really is true, is that if you can get that retention up, right, and you can get people more engaged with the activities of the workforce and stuff like that, and you really show an investment and an interest in them in their journey as a cybersecurity practitioner, or a cybersecurity related practitioner as well, um, then it's seen to have just incredible help overall, right? Because I could totally see things getting slipped under the rug, not under the rug, but I would say, I think, past your notice or
Mhm.
something. If you're going to work and you're like, I don't want to be here, and nobody here cares, right, and stuff like that. So again, it's like, that is a huge thing that is not just beneficial for like them, but just for the
Yeah.
broader organization. And what I love about a lot of the things that we've been able to see with, like, all of the, obviously you kind of went through a whole list of people we've been working with, is that a lot of these are self-led, self-created, right? They didn't come from like a company or something like that, right? Or if they did, it was like a small brain trust of people that were like,
Mhm.
hey, we want to get together and do this. But now there are communities established because people want to go and they want to collaborate, they want to meet people, they want to upskill, they want to do all this stuff. And if that desire wasn't there or something, then these amazing organizations wouldn't exist in
Mhm.
the first place, right? And
Yeah.
so people are chomping at the bit to kind of, I guess, level up in that way. And
Mhm.
it's really motivating to see, because that's where you're also going to get the the elite ball knowledge, right? Like, that's where you're going to get an entry level person talking with a senior level person, right? um they're united in their volunteering, I think. Yeah, volunteer. I was about to say volunteerism, and I was like, that is not a word, that's
That
not a
works for
word.
me.
But
It
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like,
is.
we'll make up
Or
some words if it works. But um yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking.
yeah.
I was like, this is all great. Yeah. But
But I think you bring up a good point, Will, because a lot of the times I find that employees that if they are experiencing burnout or they just
Mhm,
kind of questioning, does my company even care about what I'm doing or how hard I'm working? Or
mhm,
am I getting recognized or appreciated for the effort that I'm putting forth? Or they don't have that sense of community in their workplace culture and, with their colleagues and peers, let alone their leadership. I think
mhm,
that is a lot of the times what people who do join these professional organizations that have already been established for a couple of years. I do think tends to be a lot of those entry level folks who are trying to just get exposure and network and stuff. But for those mid to senior level people, they're usually trying to what I found is helping others and pay it forward, which is awesome. But that other group that's kind of like they're not getting it from their employer, so they're looking elsewhere to get that sense of
Hmm.
community. And I think that that's something that's you know, important to recognize because, like, if you're not getting it from your own job and you have to find it somewhere else, it does kind of make you want to then question, like, should I leave this company? Like, does this company
Oh
care
yeah.
about me? And I think, just at the end of the day, it's how can we show these people who are working so hard to keep everybody safe, show that they care from the organizational employer perspective, but then also these professional organizations that they're dedicating their time and energy to. It is all
Hmm.
about, caring. And I think we need to recognize that more.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and I
appreciate that
think.
too. Go ahead. Well, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I was just like, there is this what is it? Because I don't mean to bring it up this early into the conversation, but there's always the AI thing, okay? And like, there is a part of it where it's like, okay, well, I know my job's going to get replaced by AI or something like that. And
Mhm,
that's now a new element that's baked into this whole thing, right? Um, we are, there's still the whole people are trying to feel out what AI can really do for everyone, right? Like, um, I mean, I've seen a bunch of horror stories about agentic AI and how it's just not working, or it is, but there's a lot of hiccups, and stuff like that. But there's nothing I would feel more demoralizing than being like, I'm going to be replaced, right, by
mm,
this, this whole deal, right? um and so we've had the privilege of working with people before where they're like, yeah, no, we're going to be implementing stuff like that, but um we want to make sure that the people who are kind of in those entry level positions or are probably going to have face heavy AI integration, we're trying to give them the skills to pivot out of that so that they can still be an asset that we love to have them on board, stuff like that. And so having that investment is just
mhm.
is great, and it's more important now than ever, especially given the the big technology kind of boom and stuff that's happening
Yeah,
right now. So yeah.
good point.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'll try to piggyback on both of those things and bring it together. As I think to your point, Will, there's a lot of fear of blank, right?
Mhm,
Mhm.
And in this space, and Sasha too. Like, and the big one of the big fillers of that blank is job displacement, replacement
mhm,
Mhm.
from
mhm,
AI. That's certainly relevant. There are some silver linings there too. I think, as you kind of alluded to, with certain organizations that are figuring out how to embrace it without you know having it impact the workforce people as much.
mhm.
Mhm.
But like this year, especially, I think Sasha, we've been working together for several years. I think I got to see you more this year in person than any other
Then the
year.
years we've worked together.
I know it's been great. Sasha's down in Florida, and I'm up in the DC area, and I think a lot of the conferences that we've gone to have talked about, even most recently at InfoSec World,
Mhm,
versus the last one we were at together, just like kind of the importance of kind of establishing your tribe, or
mm,
tribes.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
And you have to have those certain different kinds of communities that you work with or are involved in, uh of different again tribes, where you get support, whether that's
mhm,
a tribe at work with your peers, whether that is your family and friends kind of tribe, or whether that's other like peers who aren't part of your organization that you can vent to without kind of fearing any kind of retribution or perceptions of kind of where your attitudes or loyalty is to the organization, because it's
Mhm.
still human. You should be able to
Yeah.
vent. No work environment is perfect. No person is perfect where they're just kind of happy all the time with work, with the exception of you two. I know you always are.
Yeah, no, I'm
very happy.
Well, yeah, there's no
it's
complaints here.
actually
No
it's written, I must be
complaints.
happy. I must be happy
Yeah,
all the time.
but it's
No.
important, right? Like,
Yeah.
because there is burnout.
Yeah.
There, it's stressful. Depending on what job you are in, and your family may not understand it, but some other
Yeah.
peers might, right? So it's
Mhm.
good to have those outlets to talk through, or and especially in this age of kind of uncertainty, of more fear of blank, you can fill that in with there's so many other things that are happening
Mhm.
around us, whether it's economic issues or
Layoffs.
just global conflicts.
Yeah.
If your environment's your thing, that could be something you're fearful of.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of stuff happening that we're all dealing with right now, and it's a good time of year to make sure you kind of find and get centered with that human connection. And I think that's one thing I've really liked about this past year is being on the road a little bit more, and being more appreciative at industry events and conferences is really just kind of more of the human connection, and
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
desire and openness of so many other attendees who are there and want to just connect with people,
Yeah.
talk about
Oh,
things,
yeah.
and especially now that we're kind of past the big COVID lockup stage,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so many more people are out there actually networking and are interacting with others, and it's really nice to see. It's really great to be part of too.
Oh, yeah.
So, but with that, I'd like to kind of shift to some more candid conversation
Oh,
around
yeah.
people and the workforce. And one thing that I've been kind of struggling with this year is, and maybe even more than just this year, is just this I don't even know how to describe it, guys. This the workforce gap issue, the whether that's supply and demand around talent and openings. I think that's compounded even further by more layoffs, whether that's economic reasons driving that or technological reasons driving that. But I keep getting caught up on this, like the workforce gap problem set. And I honestly think I'm just going to say it, bullshit. Really up front. I don't think there is a supply issue. I think it's we have plenty of supply. We are having a crisis in the cybersecurity profession right now, where organizations and our profession at large is just
Mhm.
not taking the correct approach to
Mhm.
addressing its workforce challenges at large across scale. And going back to this human element of our conversation here today, I really want to see that fixed, because
Yeah.
people's livelihoods are at stake. And,
Yeah.
I don't see enough organizations. There are some that are doing it well, but there aren't enough organizations, or us as an industry slash profession, taking a proactive approach to addressing how to manage the talent pipelines, and the current workforce, so that we are not leaving a lot of people on the sidelines going to get retail jobs at Walmart or something like that, where when they have
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
a master's degree in cybersecurity, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I'd like to see that changed, and I hope
Mhm.
that maybe this can be a conversation starter for other people who might be listening to the show in their own
Mhm.
organizations about how are they addressing this bigger issue that's happening,
Yeah.
especially as we kind of look forward to the next 10 years, with a
Yeah.
lot of baby boomers who are going to be retiring.
Mhm.
If we aren't opening the door for entry level talent and mentoring those people and giving them the OJT and one-on-one knowledge transfers from an entire generation who's been in this
Mhm.
space for so long, we're going to have a big problem later.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
a little bit on a soapbox. So I'm gonna step off for just a second to breathe. I don't know if you guys have reactions to that. I know we talk about it a lot in our team meetings, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just turn it over
I
to you guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, talking about, getting the opportunity to attend some of these conferences recently have been great. But I do feel like we're having the same conversation over and over again for honestly the past couple of years about this shortage, about this gap. And I think, the shortage story sticks, I think, because it's simpler than the truth. I think, to your point, Jeff, I don't think people want to be honest or admit it. And I think for organizations, it's harder for them to take the accountability, so it's easier for them to say that there aren't enough people than for them to admit that they haven't aligned on how they hire, train, and grow the people. I think many companies really do overlook the internal talent that already exists within their walls, and they're not as vocal or um, advertising, lateral moves. They're so quick to hire from, external when there is a position that's open and not thinking about, internal hiring. And, of course, early career professionals are eager to grow, but mid-level employees with transferable skills are just as eager. They sometimes
Mhm.
just need a little bit more structure and opportunity, but they are definitely more than qualified and eligible, and probably even better candidates than, having somebody who's internal, used to the organization's vision, mission, and needs and goals versus somebody external coming in.
Mhm.
So I think, this is, our call to leaders and to remind them that you don't have a people shortage. You often have a visibility problem. There's often an expectation gap. I think we've talked a lot about, you can't close a gap that you haven't mapped. So that is, the work that we do and helping organizations do that. But I do think that just out there, you see these job descriptions and they're unrealistic. They're looking for this cyber unicorn that doesn't exist. Entry level roles are requiring 5+ years experience or 5 certifications. And just looking for these things that are just unrealistic. Like, how are people supposed to get experience if you're not looking to hire them? And these
Mhm.
ghost jobs. I mean, honestly, the list goes on and on about so many of these challenges that people who are looking for work are facing. And I want more conversations and more action driven solution based approaches on
Mhm.
these are the changes that we need to make, because it that mindset needs to shift. It's really
Mhm.
not a shortage. It's a mismatch. It's a expectation gap. It's, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I think that's a great point because I think
yeah.
not it's not often we see, really rarely that we see those mid level roles where their job expectations shift. And
Mhm.
the inclination is always for an organization to have like, oh, yeah, you've got mid level talent. They're the workhorse, right, of an
Mhm.
organization. They're the ones
Sure.
that are getting all the things really done, and it's hard to kind of pull back on the gas pedal of that
Mhm.
machine because they're driving the organization so much forward. But it's almost like you have to pull the gas pedal off and require mid-level talent to take 20 to 30% of their time to start mentoring or
Mhm.
teaching
Mhm. Mhm.
downstream
Mhm.
how their junior staff can do their job better, right? In order to build capacity, you have to try to work yourself out of a job. Like that's the reality of it. And you
Mhm.
don't want to work yourself out of a job and just kind of be on the bench. What you need to do and what your organization needs to kind of help promote is you're working yourself into leadership, because a
Mhm.
leader's job
Mhm.
is always to make the next leader. So if you can start to shift what percentage of that work role at the mid section is really reallocated towards growing staff internally, I think that is one key to success that I
Mhm.
would love to see more organizations really embrace,
Mhm.
so they can open up the early entry talent pipelines and let some of these really brilliant people who are eager to come into the field so that they can start to excel, and get ahead of what's likely to come in the next 5 years, where we're going to have a really big gap
Mhm.
of expertise, that just can't be filled from a regular traditional pipeline.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a lot of follies in the data that's out there right now for kind of that really guides a lot of these I guess headlines, right? They're big cybersecurity shortage and stuff. Well, we're seeing that a lot of people, like this data itself is getting extracted from job postings, and I would assume there's probably some processing element that's going into it. But there's still going to be ghost jobs. There's still going to be all of these automatic job postings, right?
Mhm.
What was it? I think we've all heard about, people putting out job postings just to create the illusion of growth
Mhm.
and hiring and things like that. Um, Instead of actually using them as any sort of, like we're actually hiring, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that, and now it's worse than ever because also like the conversely, you have people who are looking for a prospective job that are just sending automatic responses and things like
Mhm.
that to all of these job postings and such. So there's just this large automated sort of back and forth, where a lot of noise is created. And
Yeah.
then not only that, but when we talk internally, a lot of, a lot of HR and a lot of these more kind of people centric, um, I'll say groups within an organization, they do have some reporting capability, right? I was looking at a Josh Bersin report, and it's like the Josh Bersin company is really good for like human capital advisory. So I usually like to go to them a lot. But like 70% of what was it, people analytics teams are tasked with tactical reporting, which is great. But strategic planning, talent intelligence, skills analytics, all that stuff is still undeveloped, or underdeveloped, I should say. We look, and it's difficult for, especially in the people analytics sort of field. There's a lot of people who are a little more academic with it, and so they won't trace it back to kind of brass tacks business metrics, right? That's why even there's always the ROI discussion with certifications, right, and things like that. But there's also just a maybe lack of maturity in the people analytics space, for with these different teams, right? Analytics teams should be able to take skills based approaches, to find any sort of blind spots and stuff like that in order to create a targeted, either upskilling, sort of awareness and training program or what have you, right? Because again, as you're talking about, mid-level people, they're kind of stuck in between. It's like when you're a parent and you're stuck in between your grandparents and your children, kind of, right? And you're kind of running interference between both. It's very much that, where you're like, I'm still trying to progress, but I also should be mentoring and helping people
Mm.
out. So that targeted upskilling, right, and that the people analytics comes in really handily, because it's like, well, if I only have x amount of time to do this, or be skilled in this, then I really need to have a tailored sort of deal. And what I've seen is that it's actually a lot more possible than people really uh expect. And so when we talk about all of these headlines and stuff, there's a lot of this analytics and this data that's actually quite underdeveloped, that
Mhm.
doesn't actually fundamentally paint like this really good foundation for where we're at, right? And I could go on and on. I mean, like, and I might do a little bit more. I apologize. I'm going to talk in a mood today, but there's even just a lot of the entry level positions. They're not going into very specialized, which, I mean, it makes sense that they're not going into specialized positions as frequently or as much, but most people are applying for the same jobs, right? Level 1 SOC analyst, or like a vulnerability analyst or something like that. And I kind of imagine it more like, because there's other groups that are very dry, right, in terms of getting the talent they need. And it almost is like you have a building with several different doorways, right? Maybe like but there's one big doorway right in the front, and everybody's crowded around there, right? And they're all trying to get in, but people are going to have to meter, because oh my gosh, there's thousands of people here. um but then there's a few people who are a little bit on the savvier side, and they're like, well, if we go around back, there's a door right there,
Yeah.
and we might actually be able to get some FaceTime with whoever's running the show, kind of bringing people in, right? um and so I think there's a lot of that, a lot of
Yeah.
security pluses floating around, but where's all the other stuff, right? So there is a little bit of that, but it's yeah. Anyways, I'll
No, I
kind of
mean,
cool my
you're right.
jets
Like
for a moment.
there's the side door is important, and that's why you have to create those human connections. And
Oh yeah.
it is a people
Mhm.
profession at the end of the day, not technology. So I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. It's kind of been the case. I think it's just even more important, to your point, Will, where AI is kind of helping candidates and AI is kind of helping employers do the AI battle it out thing,
Mhm.
where you have a flood at that front door and very few people kind of squeeze through. That's that side door is extremely helpful, but we're not going to fix that. I should say it this way: that door is going to keep getting more crowded, and more crowded, and more crowded over
Mhm.
time until we, and I say we as an organizations collectively, start to strategize around that mid-level experience
Mhm.
grouping to create those opportunities to bring junior talent in, right? I remember this is something that stuck with me for a long time, still is. So obviously, I'm going to bring it up. But when I was working at Booz Allen Hamilton, my boss at the time, who was your former boss at the time, Simone Petrella. Hi, Simone. I came to her, she was my manager. So I came to her with a challenge because I was getting burnt out with tasks and I was managing a team and we were doing a lot of work. But I was the choke point for it. And I
Mhm.
didn't realize how much I was the choke point, and I was creating um, unintended consequences through those deliberate actions on continuing to work hard on doing things myself, right? Like,
Mhm.
so there was like, I had to review reports or do editing or, verify sources, plus do all the other, work that I'm doing around creating business. And, and I approached Simone and I was like, I've, I'm really stretched thin. I don't know what else I can take on. So it was a conversation about, well, what can you release? Which turned into a conversation about, well, I don't know if X, Y, or Z person's ready for that. And, being a type A person, it was like, no one can do it as good as me. And she essentially said, she didn't call bullshit on that, but kind of. But it was like, they might not be able to do it as good as you right now, but you have to work on making them as good as you. And they're never going to have the opportunity to do that well if you are constantly holding the opportunity back. So I think that is kind of sums it up really well. It's like we can't bring those up in the junior ranks up into, trusting them to do really well at those, more experienced tasks if we don't actually give them opportunity to
Mhm.
succeed and fail in those challenges. So I would love to see that. And I'd love to have more people have that opportunity to kind of let go, knowing that, it's a scary thing to kind of let go some of your own tasks to hand it over to someone else who might do it differently than you. But chances are they're going to succeed just as well as you did, if not do better than you in the long run. So I
Mhm.
think that's kind of an important lesson I learned a while ago, and I think we need to do it at scale. I would let that kind of maybe shift here as we kind of move into this last segment of our show. And every time we do the show, it's this week I learned, and I'm sparing us all from having to learn too much this week, and kind of keep in the spirit of Thanksgiving and say this year I'm grateful for. I'd love to hear what you two are feeling grateful for this year. I know, Will, I know you're grateful for generative AI. So I'll
Oh
just,
God.
I'm kidding, but I'll give you the floor first. I'll give you the floor first.
Oh, really? Okay, okay, okay. I appreciate it. What was it? I'm actually kind of thankful that people are being a little more, like cynical about it, right? I'm just saying, like when we're talking, if we're bringing that up a little bit, it's like, hey, people are really starting to see that there are some risks here. There's some things like we can't just say it's the blanket, we're gonna win because we have the big robot and the big robot's gonna do all the big things for us, right? Because again, at the end of the day, computers are kind of dumb. They're not. There's some stuff, but well, I'll save you guys the trouble. You guys know about all that stuff. I get into my modes, but I would say, and this kind of falls in with the theme though, is that I've been able to meet several just many groups of people that have been able to just through their own will and resolve alone have created all of these amazing organizations, platforms for collaboration, um, and inviting people to get the actual experience, the time, the effort, the connection that they. I came out of college like years ago, and that was troublesome, just like it's like, okay, where do I go now? Right. I had internships, I had all these different things, but like, there was no real, it felt like there wasn't a stage where I could prove myself on, right. And stuff like that. We talk about having trust in people, and a lot of that comes from, well, have they faced adversity in their experience, right? And you're volunteering or something like that, you're probably going to face a little bit of that, right? And you can really truly write that down and be like, I've tempered my skills through this, right? And there are so many people out there that are now providing that opportunity, which I think is just amazing. I am incredibly grateful for the fact that a lot of the work we do here is, when we get, finished up with some, like, hard data, client things and stuff like that, I'm able to go in and start, talking Jeff and Sasha's ear off about, hey, I'm thinking about we run this and try and figure out what's going on here, right? Like actually doing some good data science stuff where we're just, taking large swaths of data, doing some data mining on it, and trying to see what we could see. Um, I've been like, lately, I've been absolutely just going insane on some classification models for all of us, and that's been very fun. Very excited to show some more output there. That one's a little more like, I don't know, that's in the mix between hard numbers and theoretical, but I'm like, okay, it just lets me kind of run wild a little bit more, and really flex my brain. So there's that, but also I've been PRing at the gym a lot. I'm very happy about that. That's a big one for me. What was it? I hit 405 on deadlift without,
Crazy.
yeah, without a belt. Cause like, again, you kind of use a belt to like cheat a little bit and like prop yourself up, tighten your core. So there's that. I've just been absolutely hitting it at the gym. So I'm very, very happy about that. But and then also, I mean, I guess, my family and like my, the people around me and all that stuff, I
Those who
guess.
cook you potatoes.
Oh yeah, those who cook me potatoes. That's the only thing. If they cook me potatoes, then I love them. If not, then whatever.
I know. We know, Sasha. We know to get Will for a Christmas gift. It's just like a big,
Yep, literally a
big
sack of
potato.
potatoes.
Just a big,
or just
just
shipping
one
some
large
KFC
potato.
instant potatoes.
From
Oh yeah, awesome. But yeah, I could go on. Again, I'm trying not to be as talkative because I will just run away with the whole show. I don't want that. We don't want that. So,
You're great. You're
yeah,
great. You're great. Sasha, how about
appreciate it.
you? What are you feeling grateful for this year?
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, I definitely think, and especially just coinciding, with this conversation, I'm grateful for the opportunity of the work that we get to do at SchoolRex. I feel like through the workforce intelligence and the data that we're actually able to use for these organizations, we're actually mapping skills, identifying internal capabilities, and helping them really, uncover the talent that they have and how to make some changes for the better to really support and grow that talent and really, begin the transformation of their cyber workforce to make, smarter decisions about the development, mobility, and hiring through that data. And I just love that we're able to connect data, people, and purpose. It just feels very fulfilling. And I think, we've been able to help organizations, but also I've, personally received help from organizations, especially through WESIS. Being a member, I've been a member now for a couple of years, but I feel like I really threw myself in there and got really involved, serving on the leadership board for WESIS Florida and presenting at the conference, taking advantage of other professional development programs that they have. I've really kind of just been able to learn and grow myself and now pay it forward by being a mentor. So it's just kind of cool how it's been able to kind of come full circle. And yeah, as a strategic partner, we get to help them as an organization too. So I love that. And I'm grateful for that. And then I say on a personal note, I was trying to look for a little picture, and I don't know if it's gonna come here but for my family, we added our fur edition. This is
Oh, yeah.
Biscuit.
Oh yeah, we love
So this is
Biscuit.
over 2 months ago. We added a second cat to our family. So we have two cats and two dogs as our my fur babies. And so that's been a fun addition that I'm very grateful for. So yeah.
Which one's the weirdest? Like there's always like one really weird cat, You know what I'm saying?
Definitely Biscuit.
Biscuit?
My other cat, yeah, my other cat, Joelle, she's a little older and a much more demure kind of,
Kind of
old lady, not
poised.
old, but like she's just like to herself. And Biscuit
Mhm.
is a toddler. He is pure orange cat energy, very
Oh, nice.
mischievous, has gotten into my Christmas decorations
Oh, no.
and has the
Oh, God.
zoomies, and he definitely keeps us entertained. And it's really fun to see him interact with the dogs. So it's
Nice.
definitely a full house here, and it's been fun. He's added just like a new source of energy into the house, which
He's
has
not
been a
like
lot of
climbing on the walls at night, is he?
not climbing on the walls,
Okay, okay.
definitely
Because I've
climbing
I've
on a
seen videos of cats doing that where they're like the full claws dug into the drywall.
oh
They're
no, let's
hanging like
not have
Batman, and you're like, dude,
please
what
don't
is?
encourage that here. I don't want
Yeah,
that.
no. If I talk loud enough, I'll give him ideas. It'll shine
Yeah,
through the
let's not do
speakers. And yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. So
Well, I'll be interested to know the dynamic. Hopefully, I won't ever hear about it. But the next time a hurricane comes near Tampa,
I know,
and you
right?
have the whole
Yeah.
pet store at your house from your other family members, with
Yeah.
is how Biscuit handles, 2x the animal
Yeah.
load there.
oh, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, and thanks to Biscuit for joining the family and fitting in so well.
Yes.
Shout out
Um,
Biscuit.
Another
yeah,
cyber
go
cat.
Biscuit. For me, a family, of course, I think the support I've gotten in launching SkillRex over the
Mhm.
last year. I mean, this was really our first full year of
Yeah.
operations as a company. So wouldn't have been able to do it without support from family. So that's been amazing. I'm super, super grateful for the two of you and everything you guys do for the organization, because it's just,
Likewise.
you have choices when you work for companies, and, coming to work for SkillRex as a startup is definitely a step that, fits for some people, but not all people. But I
Mhm.
think that you guys took that step and have the trust in me and this organization and what we do to want to work here and contribute to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think our clients, we have really great clients that continue to support us, and as we support them. So that's I can't name them, not allowed to, but but you know who you are, and we appreciate you. And then I think all the people behind the scenes, for me personally,
Mhm.
but also professionally, there's
Mhm.
folks who don't see other people besides the three of us. We're really the true face of SkillRex, but there are other people who support us behind the scenes, like our graphic designer Bhavnesh. He's awesome. I got Hamdan, who helps doing some outreach stuff, and there's Tahar Martinez, who supports us on tabletop stuff. We got to have her on sometime because she's a joy.
Shout
Mhm.
out to Har.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's great.
And
She's
then
great.
some people who just kind of support me have been big supporters over the years, like Simona mentioned her here, Will Markow, who's we partnered with several times,
Yeah.
Bree, Nick Levy, Kim Jones, who's a really great mentor, and Lynn Dome, of course, from Lisa's,
Yeah.
and then everybody like involved with CRISAC. You guys know who you are. There's a lot of them there to mention. So, and Black Girls Hack and
Yeah.
Cyber Society, or Women's Society of Cyber Jitsu.
Mhm.
There's some really amazing people that we get to have exposure to, but also who are just kind of here for it with us, and I think that's awesome. So thank you
Yeah.
to all of you who are listening and supporting us. So with that, unless you guys have any alibis, we'll just kind of close this out and give people
Yeah.
back a little bit of their time to get back to the turkey or football or
Mhm.
family arguments, whatever may be the case. Hopefully not the latter. Hopefully everybody's having a good
Hey, it
time.
wouldn't be Thanksgiving without one. Okay.
Yeah, we got to have some
you
scrap.
gotta have a little friction there, right?
That's right. A reminder why we only do it once a year.
Oh yeah.
No, but yeah, that wraps up our Thanksgiving edition of the Cyber Talent Matrix. And to everyone working today, to everyone keeping systems safe while the rest of the world rests, we see you. We're thankful for you. And wherever this holiday finds you, with family, colleagues, or catching up a well-earned break, we appreciate the work you do and the people you lift along the way. So we will see you next time on the Cyber Talent Matrix. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.